of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed? So the ayes have it, so we'll approve those minutes. I don't believe we have any press or any public present today, so there's not public comment, which we will be offering at the first of the meetings on a regular basis. Kent, would you like to give us a treasurer's report?
Yeah, I passed out the cash and bank report to everyone before the meeting. Summarize balance in the checking account is $17,639.01. The balance in the at 12/31/2020, the balance in the money market account is $1,201,382.04. We had no expenditures in the month of December.
Fantastic. Does anybody have any questions or any concerns on the treasurer's report? Okay.
No.
We'll move on to the committee reports. Who would like to go first on the committee reports? Ken?
I had a fairly lengthy discussion with Scott this week about my concerns that I raised at the last workshop about financial statements. We do have some serious issues about getting to financial statements, primarily being the system itself is a problem, which at some point in time, if you're going to satisfy me, we're going to have to do something about that, because if it's just we can't continue to operate like this, because we do have significant credits that came when Allegiance was here that we need to get back from them, that are not shown anywhere as a receivable to us. We have significant bad debts that have to be written off, which are not recorded anywhere, which we can't see. And so from a perspective of being able to oversee the hospital itself, if we can't get good financial statements, we can't do that. And so he and I discussed the problems they have with the system that we have now. I understand the difficulties, but that can only be used as an excuse so long, because we're going to have to do something to get that remedied. If we can't get stuff out of MedHost that we need, then we're going to have to look at something else.
I totally agree. There's been some discussion about MedHost. They want to provide training at a cost. They will give us a little bit of training for free, but to really get that kind of general ledger training, we're probably going to need to spend a little more money with them, which is, kind of hard to accept, but probably something we'll have to accept. Would you be of the opinion that we should go ahead and just start getting people trained on that?
Depends on how much it is, because if it's significant dollars, we might be better off just going to a new system.
Okay.
And it also begs the question, is it a training issue, or is it the system issue? Maybe it doesn't interface with some of the business systems. I mean, I presume there are probably...
I will let you know, about 3 or 4 months ago, I pulled the MedHost contract, and there's not a no cause out in that contract. We would probably have to prove cause. And at that time, we had 31 months left in the contract, so now we must have like 28, 29 months left in that contract. And I think it would be somewhat difficult, maybe not impossible, to get out of that contract, but at that point, I felt like we were pretty much, tied to MedHost.
Well,
so I don't know. I think it's $5,000 for the general ledger training is what I've heard as a number bounced around.
over the next 2 months, I'm going to get into MedHost more from the purely accounting side of that, and just see,
Okay, that'd be fine, yeah, and,
The other part to ask about is, do they have another module that we could purchase that provides more detailed general ledger information?
Right, and I think it's also a problem of not just having the modules, it's how much access we have to those modules. And I've heard complaints that we don't actually have all the access that we even need. So yeah, we need to sit down with them and get this figured out. I completely agree with you, Ken. Without those numbers, it's like we're blind to exactly where we're going. So I think that's a great point. Anything else you have on your committee report?
No, sir.
Okay. Jean, would you like to do your operations report?
Yes, just a few things. I spoke with Angie before she went out for the week. She's on vacation. She said all the staff, not all the staff, all the staff that wanted a COVID vaccine have gotten their second doses of the vaccine, and actually they had some leftover doses that they were able to give to first responders and so forth. So that's the update on that. Now, housekeeping, we do have a full-time employee, and so that person seems to be working out okay for the time being, so happy about that. Let's see, I asked about the update from information technology with regard to a couple of the systems. The Pulsar system, which is the emergency department communication system with the EMTs, is still in process, so that's not yet completed. The Improvida, of course, is now live and seems to be working fine. I asked about the Arkansas Share, which is being able to share patient records and labs and radiology and so forth with other connected entities. That still is in process. I think they're waiting for the integration part to be done, but that's not yet completed. So they've got a couple of things left in the IT department. In pharmacy, there is a new full-time pharmacist named Philip, who I've not met yet, but Angie indicated that he was very enthusiastic, and she was excited to be able to get somebody that she could, really work with to get them to do things that they need to have done. So he is on board, and apparently he's new to the area. And those are the highlights.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we should say welcome to Philip. He seems very promising. I think that'll be a good relationship. Let's see, Michael, did you have anything on marketing?
Very little, actually, at this point. Catherine and I have discussed several options, but COVID, frankly, is getting in the way of pursuing any interaction with the public so far.
Right.
I am currently, you made a suggestion to me last week about Silver Dollar City. I'm currently waiting on them to get back with me on discounted promotional or discount tickets. And
great.
I suggested perhaps they make a special issue of frontline worker discounts for morale issues.
That's great.
So I think I got their attention, and considering the number of tickets that we would want to buy, I'm trying to get the best price possible out of them. But I really think that's a wonderful idea.
Oh, great, thanks. Yeah, that's just where I worked in a hospital before. In this area, they had that before, and it was by far the most popular incentive for the employees was, and it wasn't free tickets, it was just a significant discount that they were provided.
Exactly.
And they really liked
what
it.
I'm wondering is if they can get discounted significantly, perhaps the commission could pay the difference so that we were actually giving free tickets.
Yeah, I think that's something to look at. We'd need to probably look at how that affects the cost report, but yeah, that would be very good.
I'll have something to say on the next meeting.
Yeah, okay, great. That sounds good. Let's see, am I missing anybody else's committee? I don't think so.
Yours.
Yeah, mine. That's who it is. Thank you. Okay.
Excuse me, Ty.
I'm prepared. Yes.
I guess probably we should mention, for the sake of this being videotaped, is that we are in process with looking at candidates, CEO candidates, that we'll be discussing in more detail.
Oh, yeah, I had that later on the agenda that we
I'm
will
sorry.
be. That's okay. We're going to be going into executive session to do that discussion, but yep, I will announce that when we get there. Okay, my committee report, the Quad C committee, some of this is going to overlap with the other committees, so I'll just kind of go through it quickly. MedHost was number one on my list as well. We definitely need general ledger training. We need training in pharmacy, which we are getting some of that for free, I understand. Angie could probably elaborate on that more. Dr. Dodoni has a new addendum to his contract, which I think Angie will cover in her CEO report. We do have the Cepheid in-house. It's here. We've been promised 2 boxes of testing so far. I think there's 30 in a box, I believe. And so we're really hoping for more. The state told us December 31st that we wouldn't be receiving any more Abbott ID Now testing, but they have since reversed that. But right now it's very unclear how much COVID testing we will have as compared to last year, so we're working on that diligently. We are starting some vaccine initiatives. We're trying to obtain vaccines so that we can also enter into distributing vaccines in the 1B category. Because we received a lot of vaccine for employees, we were able to set up a system and train some people on the system of how to give those vaccines, and it seems to be running very smoothly. I think we're going to be able to do 50 plus an hour under the system, so we're very excited about that. But unfortunately, right now, today, we do not have any vaccine. But as soon as we get vaccine, we hope to be making a public announcement about that. I'm not going to cover Arkansas Share. I think Gene did that fine. I did want to announce that starting February 1st, 2021, we will be an Aetna provider. The Aetna market, from my practice, I have to say, is a huge market share. I think that's going to help the hospital tremendously to be able to take care of Aetna patients. And anybody out there with Aetna Medicare Advantage, February 1st, will be able to take care of you, do your CAT scans, do your lab, all those sorts of things. Cost report. I talked to Bill Couch about the cost report payment because we were told initially that we would have that payment by December 12th. Because we had a transition of ownership, CMS is saying that they don't pay up front on those cost reports, and they don't pay the cost report until it's finalized. He's going to resubmit it because we did take on the debt responsibilities in that transfer of ownership to see if we can get that money sooner. But I'm just announcing that, warning that it could be 18 months before we actually receive the cost report money from 2019. Our COVID-19 compliance, we were able to offer all employees, EMS, first responders, and police officers the vaccine who wanted it. And so we got our 1A done. I would just say that our acceptance of the vaccine was somewhat lower than what we anticipated, and hopefully that will change with time as people see that there are not negative reactions to the vaccine. Many of us have had the vaccine, and it seems to go very easy, very well. We've not had any major problems, and I strongly encourage our employees especially, and first responders to obtain the vaccine. And I think the commission needs to start thinking of ways in the future that we could increase that compliance so that we are able to have an immune staff.
What was your percent of acceptance?
Right now we have 19 out of 68 full-time employees who got the vaccine, and we have 6 employees who have had had COVID-19. So we have about 25 out of 68 that we would consider possibly immune. So kind of low.
Yes,
we want to really encourage that. There's several ideas out there that we might want to talk about next month. I'm hoping we get more vaccine and more people just kind of get it on their own, but there's all kinds of ideas out there on how methods to increase compliance. I would like to stick with positive methods rather than negative methods. I would much rather have positive reinforcement than punishment, but I just hope that everybody sees the need, especially if they're a worker in healthcare, to become vaccinated. So anyway, I'll stop with that. Satisfaction surveys are still doing very well. We're calling everyone who visits our ER. We're not able to always reach every single person, but on average, on a 1 to 10 ranking, we are still at a 9. On those rankings, we had 2 complaints in December, and I know of 1 complaint so far in January, so I consider that very good. And we do call those complaints back and try to resolve with them, whatever problem they had. Okay, let's move on to the CEO report. Angie, can you hear us?
I am here. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you. Let me, where'd Ron go? Oh, Ron's back there. Can you hear, is that coming across okay? Angie, can you just say test 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, test 1, 2, 3.
Okay, you're good to go. We're ready for your CEO report.
Okay. Well, I know between Gene and your report, you kind of touched on a couple of things that I was going to go over. Of course, with the vaccines, we did Pfizer in the beginning when we started back in December 18th, and we had 26 immunizations at that time, and we got the second round of Pfizer in for that first set and was able to use all of those doses as well. And so everyone has received their second dose. And then last Friday, we received 10 vials of Pfizer. We were actually expecting Moderna, but they did send us Pfizer. So we reached out to everybody on that 1A program, and then we filled those. And when we had to step away, instead of them going to waste since they were Pfizer, they will expire in 120 hours if they're not used from that date we received them. And we went ahead and looked at our 1B list, and so we were able to get all of those used and no doses wasted, and we actually had a total of 66 doses out of that 10 vials of Pfizer. So it is my understanding that the state will send us the remaining amount, so those folks will get their second dose, and we will contact them once we know the date that's going to come in.
Very good.
Let's see. We're currently looking for a freezer that can store Pfizer. It has to be a negative 70-degree freezer, so that is an item that we're looking for. That way it will, if we receive it, we can put it immediately back into the freezer, and that 120-hour use time will be extended, of course. Second item that I had to discuss was regarding our medical detoxification program. This was a program that Dr. Dadoni had initialized back in October. It has now officially been finalized. He will be our medical director for that program. He's setting up orders and rules for these patients. We've actually been seeing medical detox patients now for several months as we've been getting this program set in place, and it's actually going very well for the facility. And it's definitely a needed item in our community, that is for sure.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think, you already said that I was going to introduce Philip, but you've already discussed him.
Sorry, we stole your thunder.
You stole my thunder. He is working out very well. He is very eager. He loves the hospital facility, so he's going to work out well for us, I believe. He is new to the area. He moved here from Hot Springs, so he's trying to get used to Eureka lifestyle, but I think he's going to be just fine.
Okay, very good. That sounds great. Do you have anything else for us?
I think that's the last I jot it down here.
Okay.
If I can comment, and is Angie able to hear me? Angie, are you able to hear me over the phone?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Well, I was just going to suggest that we you think carefully about any consideration of buying a freezer Because I remember the estimate was like $11,000, and we may or may not even receive more of the Pfizer vaccine. So we just need to think that part through. So just
Yes.
throwing that idea out.
Yeah, I know that we've actually found some less expensive than that original quote of the 11,000 freezer. So we were definitely looking into those lesser quoted systems.
And
One
if
thing,
I may, that freezer would also expand our ability to store plasma, which we can't currently. So its value to us would go beyond storage of viral vaccine.
So plasma stores at that amount of freezing?
Plasma only requires, I believe, -40. But if it will go to -70, then it will accomplish the goal.
Yeah.
for-
We just
for
need
plasma.
to sort through it before investing that kind of money.
I will say one comment on that too, as far as getting vaccine is a real challenge, and we would really like to get it out to the community kind of as part of our mission. A lot of people don't have these freezers, and so if we had a freezer, a lot of the pharmacies aren't able to handle the Pfizer. We might be able to acquire much more Pfizer because we would kind of have that competitive advantage. Another thing is that we would almost surely never waste any vaccine because, like Angie mentioned, we have to use it in 120 hours, and that way we would have it there safe. So I think the most recent quotes I've seen have been 5,000 or less, you're getting a used one, so just something to
used one,
consider.
yeah.
And also, this figure should be covered by our grant money.
It is, yeah, correct.
Without question. So I think it's a no-brainer that we consider the purchase.
Yeah.
I know that's not on the table at the moment, but I think it has potential value beyond our issue with the virus, in addition to allowing us to be a hub of distribution.
Now, and this is an aside, it's not necessarily commission business, but of course, in Eureka through Smith Pharmacy, we had a big vaccine drive-through today at Echo Clinic. I was giving vaccines for hours this morning through Echo Clinic, and they were people that had called Smith Pharmacy and had made appointments, and so it was from 9 o'clock until like 2 o'clock this afternoon. So at least there is a vaccine coming out to the community, thank goodness.
Okay, is that all, Angie? Hello?
Yeah, that's all for me. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. Very good. We very much appreciate it and look forward to seeing you on Friday.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, guys.
And thank you.
Thanks, Angie.
Bye-bye. All right, Brent, would you like to give us the CFO report? And maybe if you could introduce yourself a little bit in your relationship with our CFO, Scott Stone?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Brent C. I'm a CPA living in Pea Ridge right now. Just moved back to Northwest Arkansas in October. I've been a CPA since 1992. Started my career in public accounting, then moved to the corporate world, spent 25 years at Walmart in audit, accounting, corporate finance, international real estate finance throughout my career. The last 2.5 years before I moved back, I was in Canada working for a large real estate company there as Vice President of Financial Accounting and Business Processes. Had a strong desire to get back here where home is. I've got some older children that really wanted to get back closer to. So made the move in October to set up my own CPA firm. Scott and I at one point had some discussions about me acquiring his office here. That hasn't worked out, but we're still working together on a few things, one of which is this hospital CFO role. With him, being pulled in many different directions, he really needed some help. And so I was here available, and so he and I have worked through with Dr. Burden for me to help him in that CFO role, and our contract was extended through the end of March. So looking forward to working more closely with you, and glad to, any input on the financial side that I can give, I'd be glad to do that as well. So I've handed out blue binders to everyone. So let's start at page 2. And this just summarizes the quarter and our profit and loss. And just as a reminder, this is coming out of our QuickBooks system that we really use for cash management, so it's on a cash basis. So we're looking at cash receipts coming in, cash disbursements going out, not necessarily on an accounting GAAP basis. So if you look at the quarter, we actually had a pretty good quarter from a cash flow standpoint. So we brought in revenues on average of $665,000 a month. So the quarter ended up just short of $2 million in cash receipts. If you look at the expenses, $1,972,000, that's about $657,000 on average per month. So we're actually cash flow positive for the quarter. So if you look at the bottom right, we had positive cash flow for the quarter of $28,000. A lot of that came in November through some higher receipts that we got in November than a typical month. But as I'm going to cover here in a minute, I think the trends are good when you look at billings and where our numbers are heading. So if you go to the next page, page 3, this is just a graph that shows the cash receipts and cash disbursements. So the disbursements is the orange line, the receipts the blue line. So you can see early in the year we had a pretty significant gap between the two. And that gap, fortunately, has narrowed starting in July. To the point where you can see there in November, we actually had receipts ahead of disbursements, so we're certainly trending in the right direction. If you go to page 4, that just shows our bank balances for our hospital operating accounts. So you can see from November to December, our balance dropped about 4.2%. That was due to having more disbursements in December than we had receipts. So we're tracking that very closely. The good news is we had a great November, and so we were actually increased our cash balances for the month of November. The next report is looking at our billings, and if I could have you skip to page 7. Page 5 and 6 it's just a breakout of inpatient and outpatient. So page 7 gives you the total. And this is where we're seeing really good trends when we look at amounts being billed. So you can look early in the year, we were running anywhere from 500,000 to maybe 850,000 in billings per month. But if you look in the last quarter, October through December, every month we were billing over $1 million. So certainly the billings have picked up. So that should translate over the next coming months into higher receipts as we collect on those billings. Another thing I might mention as well is we did hire an outside consultant to come and look at our charge master and do a review of that, to see if we're underbilling. And what they found is that they estimate on an annual basis that we're probably missing about $900,000 in either unbilled or underbilled revenue. So as we go through and work through with them to do a complete audit, we should be able to start seeing the billings go up just from the fact that we're underbilling right now. Page 8 shows the gross revenue by month. It's just a graph of that page previously, so you can see that it shows the positive trend that we're seeing in billings by month. And you can see that December, compare December to June, May and June, and you can see that it's significantly higher than what it was running. It's pretty much double what we were billing earlier in the year. I'll skip over the next. That's just some detail on some of the information for December. If we go to the next section, what I've done is I've just updated just month to date in January just to show you where we're at for the month. So far through the first half of January, we've had $246,000 of cash coming in. We've had expenses of $464,000, so cash outflow of about $217,000. Part of that is because a lot of the expenses come early in the month, and it's a little bit lighter later in the month. And revenues are down a bit from what we were seeing in December. If you look at half month through December 15th, compare that to January 15th, we're down about 26% in cash receipts. So we'll keep looking at that closely. But once again, with the trend in billings going the direction it's going, I would expect our cash receipts will shortly follow in the coming months. Page 19 is then the cash balances. So when you compare the balance of December 31st and then January 17th, our balances are down about 8% because of that negative cash flow. With that, I'll open it up to any questions anyone has on the financial report.
Are we still being affected by the transition in coders as far as the negative cash flow this month, do you think?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to dig into that. I know that there's certainly, as they find things, they're getting some processes fixed. I'm not sure that everything's 100% fixed on that, but I'll follow up and find out for you.
And I'm not really going to ask you this question because I know that with our current challenges with MedHost, it's not really a fair question, but going into the future, I think it would be really good to narrow down what percent of billing our collections are, you know?
Yep.
I don't know if you have any rough idea on that number or not, but I know it's very difficult to obtain currently with the system.
Yeah, it is. Let me look and see if there's a way to pull those numbers out.
If we could get that, that would be great.
Okay.
One other request I would have going forward in the future, especially once we get MedHost more figured out, is I would love to be able to look at a CPT code and then look at a payer and then be able to see what that payer is paying for that CPT code. This is something I've really been struggling with as a matter of oversight in the last few months, to really know when we have questions come up about, hey, we're thinking about doing a lot of this CPT code because this physician wants to come in and do the CPT code, and it's right now, as a strategic planning standpoint, it's very difficult to know if we should do it or not.
Sure.
Because we don't know how profitable it is.
That data is getting into the MedHost system.
Right.
The challenge is getting that data out, and that's a challenge for many things with this system. And let me go back and look and see.
Okay.
And once again, we've talked about the challenges. Is we don't have anybody who's today employed that's an expert in the MedHost system.
Right.
And I've done a lot of systems implementations in the last 30 years. Replacing old antiquated systems with new, more modern systems.
Okay.
This is the most outdated system I've worked with.
Really?
And in my last job, I was looking to replace a system that was implemented for Y2K.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, it's technology that's 25, 30 years old.
Okay.
I have a question. Are we able to look at Medicare CPT codes, at least as a benchmark?
Yes.
What they're paying?
Those are always a little bit difficult because we're on a cost report basis, and so, we get, on Medicare, we actually get covered for cost,
Right, but
And
I was
so-
just asking about the CPT.
For a benchmark. Yeah, that's kind
as
of
a
what I was
benchmark.
asking, like, if we could just pull, say, I'll just pick on, Humana.
Yeah.
And if we could just say, what do we get paid for Humana on this CPT? And then, like, I think, pull the CPT reimbursement for our demographic area, and then we could compare how we're getting paid. Once we can do that, I think we're going to see, these numbers are pretty good, but the numbers are going to be a lot better once we can strategize in that manner,
Yeah.
So, okay, very good report. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is setting the 2021 calendar. This is an annual event for the commission. We have always met on Monday, the third Monday of the month at 6 p.m. I would suggest that we keep that time period, and that this year we continue our workshops, which were recently added, and perhaps do those on the first Saturday at noon. And if I would just like to open a discussion now, if that timing and those dates are good for everyone. You're okay with that, Kent? I know sometimes
As long as I know in advance.
In advance?
It's fine.
So I guess do we need a motion? Leva, do you know, do we need a motion in order to set the calendar, or since it's the same?
I think it's the same, and it was
The same?
We
Okay.
don't need a motion.
Well, then I will just go ahead real quickly for the minutes, and I can give you a copy of these, Jean. I'll just say our meeting dates for the next year quickly.
Okay.
It'll be February 15th, March 15th, April 19th, May 17th, June 21st, July 10th, oh, wait a second. July 19th, I think. Can't read my own writing. August 23rd, 9/20, 10/18, 11/15, and 12/20. And then the planned workshops would be February 6th, March 6th, April 3rd, May 1st, June 5th. I thought we would take off July 3rd since it's the day before July 4th, August 7th, September 4th, October 2nd, November 6th, and December 4th. And if we'll just get those into the minutes, so
Okay.
you can always go back and look at this month's minutes for a meeting. Yes?
And so we'll meet at the Odd here for our meetings,
Yes.
and the workshops will be at Main Stage?
I think that would be good.
Is that
That's what
okay?
we've been doing. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that then. Thanks for bringing that up, Barbara, and clarifying that. Next on the agenda is the audit status for 2020. Because of COVID and some changes in leadership, we have not yet performed our audit on the hospital commission, as I understand. And we need to really get on top of that and initiate that. I understand that we have used Wendell in the past, is that correct? Does everyone want to continue to use Wendell for an outside audit?
I will say that in past years, there has been some holdup on the audit with Wendell. He's always come through for us, but sometimes it's at the last possible minute.
Okay,
That's the only concerns that I would bring up. But, yeah, I would support, Barbara? Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I would support Wendell unless somebody has other recommendations.
And I would just request for those of us that are newer to the commission to flesh out a little bit of what that's about.
Well, oh, go ahead.
We take a copy of all the minutes and all the bank statements to Wendell and all of our receipts through the year. So right now, I have it almost ready to go. I was going to see if Kent wanted to look at it first. And it's about this thick because we had Norris Street. We spent all that money on that. From here on out, it would probably just be minutes and not much check writing other than post office and surety bond and stuff. So we give it to him and he checks our statements and make sure that we're all legal. And I will say that we get our audits really late, even though I send them in by February, and we did not get 2019 yet. And so I'm hesitant to give him 2020 until I know, But I think he got, like everybody else, with COVID and, so I will call again. I have called to check on it and remind him that we didn't get it, but I will call again. And he has all of our audits back from the beginning of time that he's done in his office. So in a way, when I needed one, I could go to his office and get one because we couldn't find them for a while. So it's up to you guys what you want to do. That's just...
Yeah, thank you for the explanation. So it's just an annual thing?
It's just a standard financial
Annual
audit, yeah.
thing, yeah.
It is also
And it is required.
something that has to be presented to city council on the state of the hospital presentation that Ty will give.
and I would like to have that, of course, sooner than later, because, I would like to go to city council as soon as possible in order to give them our audit. And is there any interest in us trying to get one of the free audits from the municipal league. Say, I think they're a year and a half out or so, but I understand that we may qualify for a free audit.
I'm
Yes.
not sure the commission does, but the hospital will.
Okay,
So I'm
Let me
not
check
sure
on
about
that.
that.
but yes. go
Yeah,
ahead.
let's talk about it for a second, though. Changing auditors is not just as simple as changing auditors, because if you
Okay.
change auditors, the new firm has to go back and confirm. They won't just accept the past. They literally, there's a confirmation process. It will cost you more. It doesn't normally, but it could create some confusion.
Okay.
Not that I have no influence with Wendell and Associates, but to me, right now, it doesn't appear to be that it would be a good time to change your auditor.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you this, and I know Rusty, if I have to call him, I will. It is unacceptable to be in 2021 and not having a 2019 audit. That is unacceptable,
Right.
You're up.
okay?
You
Yeah.
call.
Yeah, if you could handle that for it. I think we're all okay with just sticking with Wendell then, as
Yeah.
long as you can get him to get our 2019 audit fairly
And
quick.
this audit for 2020 will be a big one because we have so many receipts and stuff. But after this audit, it should be a piece of cake.
I would like to ask him a time frame and maybe a deadline on this. I don't want to get in a position of waiting and waiting and waiting, and city council start asking us, when are we going to do our audit? We don't want to be in that position, and so even though it could be difficult, if he's not able to get this out for 6 months or something, I really don't want to get into that position for this commission.
Well, and I
It
think-
probably will be 6 months because accounting firms will be geared to taxes until April 15th.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Well, I would, yeah.
you won't be able to change that any
Yeah,
firm you go to.
anywhere. Okay, all right, fair enough. I guess that's what I'll tell him then.
And I think we had the conversation with him last year about
Okay.
Yes.
getting it, because we didn't get it until November last year. I mean,
Okay.
for 18.
Well, maybe Kent,
I
if you
will
could
give
help
him-
us
I will
with
give him
that,
a
that
call.
would be
It's unacceptable to
fantastic.
me into the next fiscal year after.
Okay. So, I guess since he's had it every year, I don't think I was present for when you initiate the audit. Since we do spend money on that, I would take it, we would need a motion in order to get the audit, or has that just been
It's just been, we've done it, so I
a
really don't
standing
know.
thing?
But
Even
if you want to make a motion to give it to Rusty one more year, I think that.
More than
Yeah.
likely a requirement in,
Yeah, I would
should be
lo-
a requirement in the bylaws, which we're working.
Yeah, I would rather, I would think that we should have a motion if somebody would like to, offer a motion that we
Continue with.
continue with having the hospital commission audited by Wendell and Associates.
Because I think if we change auditors, then we have to send it out for bid.
Right, so can somebody make that motion? I can't make that motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All of those in favor say aye.
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 All of those opposed? The motion passes. So we will continue that with Wendell and Associates. Okay, next on the agenda is the need for an executive session. This executive session will be done solely for the purpose of discussion of the CEO applicants. We have recently completed our screening Zoom interviews, and we will be discussing the CEO application Zoom interviews as well as the CEO search process. So we'll go into executive session now.
Who keeps playing with their microphone? Is that you? Me?
I think
Okay, are you ready, Ron? We are coming back out of executive session at 3:45 PM. After lengthy discussion, the hospital commission has decided to move forward to the personal interview step in the CEO search process with a few candidates. So we will be undertaking that in the coming weeks. Okay, I would like to now go to commissioners' comments. This is something that the city council does and Parks does that I'd like to start doing. If commissioner does not want to make a comment, feel free not to make a comment. But if you would like to make a comment, this would be your opportunity to do that. So Jean, would you like to start? We'll just go around the table.
I have no comments.
Okay.
At this point.
Kent?
Thank
No
you.
comments today.
Barbara? Leva?
No.
Okay.
None for me either.
And then I'll just make my chair comments brief. I would just like to say that I'm very excited about 2021 with the hospital and the hospital commission. I think we've went through, one of the worst years in history in many ways, and I hope that this next year will shine a light and be a lot brighter. I would like for anyone watching out there or anyone listening to this to just know that this is really your hospital. This is your community hospital. We're here volunteering our time to serve you, and if you have complaints about the hospital or if there's something you don't like about the hospital, please feel free to email me, and my email is on the city's website. We really want to make this something that is beneficial for the community, by the community, and for the community, and look forward to serving the community in the future. So with that, I will end the today's regular meeting of the Eureka Springs Hospital Commission.
Nicely done.